What's going on, everybody? One thing that I want to come and do right now is just talk to everybody, man. I think I'm gonna title this one "Dear Parents," um, for the simple fact that a lot of us today, right? I'm a '90s baby, so you know I come from a different generation, but yet my mom is from another generation. And the generation that raised her, kids couldn't really vocalize their opinions. They couldn't really talk about how they felt because they were always told to shut up, be quiet, and to listen to their parents and what they say. And a lot of those emotions and feelings were transferred over to different generations. But I'm going to be the first person to stand up and say this: I don't give a fuck no more. I don't care. Like, if you're an elder, you have to understand that there's a certain amount of respect that you have to give me before I just give you the respect that you feel like you just magically deserve. No, I had to earn your respect. You will have to earn mine as well, because I am another human being. And I'm tired of always being told, oh, you young, you don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? Well, a lot of y'all older people don't get out much. You don't leave your hometowns. You know what I'm saying? You haven't been out here and experienced the world. You haven't seen or you haven't embraced other cultures. So you actually have far less experiences than your children have, right? Yeah, you may have lived longer, but just living doesn't mean you've been experienced in life. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a such thing as there's a difference between being alive and living. And being out here and living, I've become a very open-minded person. So I don't care who you are or what your age is. You will give me the same amount of respect that you expect for me to give you. Or we will always clash heads. You know what I'm saying? One of the things that I really picked up is when I was in the military, the chain of command was one of the biggest flaws that a lot of people faced, and it still goes on to this day. That old do what I tell you to do and don't ask no questions, that shit's played out. You gonna tell me to do something and I'm gonna ask you some questions because there's some understanding that I need to get. Maybe the way that you told me something just didn't add up right. And I need some more information before I go out here and just put my neck on the line for anything. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just be a failure at something, and I don't want to just get my neck chopped off just because you told me to do something. So that was one of the biggest reasons why I eventually got out of the military. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's no more of that. Like, you're not just gonna bark at me, yell at me, and tell me to do something, and you won't do it yourself. You know what I'm saying? So even parents with your children, like, the best way to teach your children something is to be an example of that, to give them an example, and giving them an example is doing that shit yourself. You know what I'm saying? It is doing it yourself and showing them, physically doing it and showing them how it is to be done. And then you eventually acclimate them to doing it themselves. You know what I'm saying? You show them, then you help them by y'all working together, and then you go from there. But it's not just you tell them and then expect them to get that shit right. Like that's never gonna work. So that's just one way how I see it. I know I could talk a lot about people really paying attention and picking up things themselves, but I just really wanted to come and talk and label this one "Dear Parents." Um, for that simple fact that it's just crazy to me, man. I know, like, if you were one of the older generational people, like, I know for a fact that some of you feel the same way that I feel, or even to this day, if you still have your parents, like, of course, you're going to want to respect your parents, right? Respecting your parents is not disrespecting them, but if your parent is wrong or if they lack the knowledge, you should tell them, like, no, you shouldn't think this way, right? I know one thing about parents is some parents feel some type of way when their kids want to express themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for some parents to let your children really open up to you and let you know that some of the flaws in your parenting fuck them up as grown people today. And you don't want to let them speak and tell you about your flaws because you don't want to hear about yourself. And I totally get that. Like, I totally get that. And it's wild, like, but you should be able to look at it as like constructive criticism, because you always want to tell us what we wrong, what we messed up, what we did, but you don't want to hear about your own flaws, and that's your flaw. You don't want to hear that any way that you raised your kid was messed up. Now your kid is going out here and experience the world, and they can say, hey, my mom and dad showed me something and it was flawed. Or some traits that I picked up from them were actually flawed. And I've been out here in the world to know, see, and to operate better. So I want to come to them and let them know, see, so they can operate better. So you should be willing to accept that. You know what I'm saying? So as a young father, I am learning through raising my child the flaws that I have within myself that comes from the flaws that were passed down from generation to generation to generation. So, in my conclusion of this here video, I just want to say, dear parents of all ages, from all generations, pay attention to your children, even if they are, in fact, toddlers, if they're old enough to speak, because sometimes their words can let you know to where your character is flawed, where things that you don't even know you're doing wrong are wrong, so now that you can fix it. Don't look to pop them in the mouth all the time. Just listen, absorb, sit back, think about it, readjust. And then just learn, because that's what I'm doing right now myself. And I would not be coming and telling anybody this if I wasn't a product of what I'm telling you right now. So this is another video for me in the daily life, man. I appreciate y'all for chiming in with me, man. Peace and love to everybody out there in the world. So, dear parents, get it together. I'm out.